So today's story is about prayer and how prayer reaches God in heaven and how God changes the hearts of people on the earth. And the story probably really starts when I was dating my husband. He always wanted a Drooly St. Bernard. That was his dream, to have this big, giant Drooly dog. And I was not a dog person at all. And I said, at one point, I said, if this is a deal breaker for you, it's kind of a deal breaker for me. I don't want to have a big giant dog in my house. And we ended up getting married, and then we had the two boys, and our boys always wanted dogs, always. And I was really the curmudgeon that said, no, I'm not. I don't want a dog in my house. No animals in the house. I didn't grow up with that, so I didn't want it. And so the boys said, we're going to start to pray. We're going to start to pray that God would change your heart on dogs. And I was like, yeah, good luck. But then one fall, I think my youngest was in fourth grade. And one fall, he ended up getting a concussion. So we sat on the couch for a week. He couldn't watch TV. There were no video games or anything like that. And um, we sat on that couch and drank tea for a week. And he convinced me to get a dog. And so, long story short, not only did we get that one dog, but 3 months later, we got a second dog. And I think it might have been 2 years later, we got our third dog. And I am definitely to a T the crazy dog lady. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how the Lord changed my heart, but He did for sure. Um, I went from one way to completely different, and that is the mark of the Lord, and just softened my heart right up toward these little fur babies that I have now. So that was one story. Um, and the interesting part about prayer is we learn from the Bible that prayer really does reach the heavens. We learn that in Revelation. It says that the prayers of the saints go up like incense to the throne room of God. I know in I think it was King Hezekiah. That would have been during the time that Isaiah was prophesying. Isaiah prophesied over him and said, "You're going to die." And he cried out to the Lord and he begged the Lord for more time. And the Lord heard his prayer and gave him 15 years. Now we all know that that doesn't happen all the time. It's according to God's will, but we do know from Scripture that that was an actual event that did change the heart of God. That prayer did change the heart of God, and we also know that when the Israelites were captive in Egypt, they cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord heard them, and sent Moses. So we know that prayer does reach God. Our prayers are heard. Usually they're answered. I'd say they're always answered, actually. They're either yes, no, or wait. Those are the three answers that we normally get, people who pray with an expectation that God will answer. We just don't like when it's a no. I sure don't. But so this is how prayer changes hearts. Now, another story I have is my husband was 2 years later than me when it comes to faith and learning things about God and really reading the Bible and having a life changing relationship with Jesus. And he was 2 years. Those were the longest 2 years of my life. And I remember going to Bible study and asking the ladies, I was so frustrated. I was like, he can't see it. He can't see. This is where the peace is. This is where the joy is. Total heart transformation. Like, he can't see it. And they said, your job is to pray for him. Close your mouth. Don't say a word. They said, we're all going to pray for him. And your job is just to read the word, do what the word says, and live it out. And it's God's job to change the heart. And it took 2 years. It was 2 years. And those were hard years for me. So I pray for anyone who's watching this that is praying for a loved one to come to the saving knowledge of Jesus. And I guess I just tell you that as encouragement that the Lord changes hearts. He did it with the crazy dog lady and me, and he also did it with my husband, more importantly, with his relationship with the living God. And so I hope the story encourages you. Keep praying. God hears all your prayers. Not one prayer goes unanswered. He's faithful. I hope this helps. And leave your comments and your questions in the box below, and I will get back to you.